My name is Harrison Shep, and this is the Video 1 entry for U.S. history. And I wrote down the questions that we were given and came up with some answers in bullet form. The first one was, what was the most interesting and why? I thought the most interesting part was the Roanoke colony there in Virginia. I've seen videos online on like TikTok and Instagram about how the Englishmen came there in, I think it was 1587, and they were there for a year, and they built the colony there, and then they came back later, and the whole colony was gone, and the only thing left was engraved in the tree was Croatoa, but everything else was gone, and I thought, well, we talked about in class that meant that they could have possibly gone up and mingled and mixed with the tribe there, since they realized that they didn't have they were so unprepared, and that they would have lived better with the Indians there. And I just thought it was so weird how a whole colony just disappears and everything that they built just goes away. And I would have thought that even if they did start mingling the tribe, like why would they just have taken everything down, since the Indians already had everything? The second question was, what was the most challenging or confusing? I thought the weirdest thing there in our notes was the disagreement between Spain and Portugal, and because they were both going to go colonize America, and they didn't know what to do about land disputes. So then they talked to the Pope, and then the Pope created the Treaty of Tordesillas, and which was the line that they drew down the world, and one group would take the west side of the line and the other would take the east side. But my question was, like, if they had such a bad visual on how big the world was, how could they have just created a line right there? Like, I get that they made that line and it wasn't very good because they didn't have the correct geological or geographical knowledge, but if you just showed up on land one time and they were like, well, this is to the east of the line, how could they know that that was to the east of the line or west of the line, or if it was close, who would take what? It ended out working fine. There was not many disputes. We didn't talk about any disputes after that due to the Treaty of Tordesillas, but I just thought it was weird how they just decided to draw a line, and how does that make sense? But and then the third question, how has class reinforced or given assumptions about American history and its significance? In high school and in college, the only American history I took was in like 6th and 5th grade, and that was kind of the stuff we talked about, but it was only briefly. And then senior year, I only took AP US history, so that was not even close to as far back as we've gone so far. So really all this is new to me, and super interesting and really in depth. But like the biggest stuff I've learned is what countries went where and where they colonized, and how they the differences between them all with religion and what their beliefs were and all that stuff. So really it's all new to me, and and it just reinforced what I learned from way back in 5th and 6th grade. And then how can what we've learned in class help inform my understanding of current issues and debates? Well, it's funny because nowadays it seems like the overall issues are all the same. It's all about religion and all about land disputes. Like in Ukraine and Russia, it's all about resources and who wants what land, and they've been fighting over that for 3 years, which back in the early colonization, it was the same thing. They were fighting over what land each country got, and same kind of stuff, and resources like tobacco and all that kind of stuff. And then what connections has this material allowed you to make with other classes? I'm a biology pre-med major, so really all my stuff has been science classes. But funny enough, in biology, I have like a ecological section, and we talked about how certain invasive species, animals and plants, have arrived over at the Americas, and it all leads back to all this stuff with the early colonization of they brought stuff over by ship, and certain diseases have come over from the ships, and plant seeds, and it all has come over. And it's really interesting to see how everything has evolved from that. And then the sixth question, how might this affect my understanding of human condition? I thought it was really interesting to see how religion plays a huge role in how certain countries treated each other. Like we just learned how the Quakers thought God's spirit was equal in everyone, which is pretty much of what most Americans think. But then you go over to the English in South Carolina and Virginia, and you see so much more slavery, and they think they're more pure than everyone else, and they think just because someone's different, then they can enslave them, with the Indians and the African Americans. And so I thought that the biggest difference was religion and how each country treated each other. So overall, I've learned a lot so far in this first couple chapters, and I look forward to the rest.